Welcome back to the program. Let me share a story with you because this is important. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones that rip you off the worst. I'm not kidding you. And here I want you to hear this story from West Dallas about a church being stolen by another minister. Wow, listen.
For Pastor Corey Maxey, it wasn't just about fraud on paper. It was about losing a place of worship.
I didn't understand how the law did not help us out when we had documentations of who I am and all of that.
And the fraud done by someone who called himself a pastor.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Joining me now, Natalie Dominguez, title theft education specialist for Home Title Lock. Natalie, nice to have you back on the program. So here I am looking at an unbelievable story. Those that you should be able to trust the most, pulling a dirty deed like this. It literally was one congregation moved out so they could do some improvements on the building. Another congregation moves in fraudulently, refuses to leave, and the system was like, can't help you. It's crazy, isn't it?
Absolutely. And the worst part here, it's not just that they moved in and they refused to move or the law couldn't do anything. It's that in this case, the other pastor had gone in and actually filed fraudulent paperwork with the county that put the church in his or the congregation's name. The report unfortunately doesn't say. But what this means is that when this was reported to the police and when this was brought to court to evict them, on record, they had ownership of the church.
Right.
So there was literally nothing they could do.
And for Corey Maxey here, the guy we just saw in that news clip, it was his grandfather's church, founded by his grandfather in the family for all of these years. And it gets stolen out from under him by this pastor, Whitney Foster, who claimed ownership, as we just talked about. And then he just moved his whole crew in. What do you do at that point?
I mean, at that point, if you don't have some sort of, safety net or backup plan, the only thing that you can do is hire a lawyer and try to get the process of proving that it's fraud started. Unfortunately, not a lot of people know where to start in one sense, and then in the other sense, and in the case of the pastor here, Pastor Maxey, he didn't have the funds for a long legal battle. So they kind of did what they could to try to get them evicted, but didn't have the resources to be able to take this to court and get this reversed all the way through.
Basically, what happened is he lost his grandfather's church through no fault of his own. It's not like they were foreclosed on. It was not like they were behind on payments, nothing like that. He got robbed. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. He was robbed, and then his congregation scattered to the wind, didn't they?
Yep. And the unfortunate part about this situation is they actually found out that Foster had done this to 3 other churches and somehow had gotten him, the report unfortunately doesn't say, we've been researching a little bit more, but somehow had been convicted of stealing 3 other churches. And this is the craziest part to me is that although this person is now serving I think it's a 24-year sentence for doing this to 3 other churches, the original pastor, Pastor Maxey, has not been able to get the church back in his name. He and his congregation are still out of the church, and the church is still in this guy's name that's in jail. Yep. As far as we know, yes, when this report came out.
So 8 years later, if I'm doing the math right here, 8 years later, this Foster is in prison for a few decades, and they still can't get their building back. How is that even possible?
As far as the reports show, it just means that they didn't have the resources to take it to court. And because they didn't have the resources to do it themselves, the law isn't really on their side. In a lot of cases, this is a civil matter, so it's completely separate from any potential criminal proceedings that are going on. So even though this man is in jail, it doesn't automatically reverse the process.
And here's another part of the story. Natalie, and I want to get to this. That church building that you just mentioned, sitting there, dilapidated now, run down, but it's on really valuable land. And you know how this works. Then the other serpents come in and circle around because they want to develop that land. I don't know if he'll ever get it back.
I mean, hypothetically, if from what we know, the church is still in the guy's name that's in prison, I mean, he could technically sell it from prison if I'm correct on that, if it's still in his name. So unfortunately, because this hasn't been reversed or taken out of the criminal's name, he still has access to the property.
Yeah.
So this is why it's very important. Time is of the essence to just get started and get on that process. And the scary thing here for a lot of people, when we talk about these things with you, we usually talk about homeowners, vacant land, but really it's any property in America that has a parcel number. So this can happen to churches, it can happen to apartment buildings, it can happen to vacant land, it can happen to an Airbnb or your elderly grandma's house. This story, the reason why we wanted to highlight this with you is just because, yeah, you think it's not going to happen to you, but it can literally happen to anyone. And
Any
anything.
property with value. I mean, that's what you're telling me.
Yes.
Any property that has equity and value can be
Yes.
transferred. Maxey's story, by the way, one of several high-profile cases in Texas that pushed state lawmakers to pass Senate Bill 16, a new law that makes real property theft a crime. So we're making progress here, but that's just one place and that's just one bill. This goes on far too often to far too many people. So when you say it can happen to anyone, it can, but you can protect yourself, can't you?
Absolutely. So we as a company do something very different. There are a couple other companies out there that claim to monitor, but as we talk about all the time, monitoring is not enough. This is a legal loophole, in the system where anyone can do this at any time. So unless lawmakers are putting things in place at the start, criminalizing afterwards really still does nothing for anyone but the government, right? And
Yeah.
putting these people in jail doesn't do anything for the homeowner. So what we do is we're 24/7 monitoring, urgent alerts, and then the most important part is restoration. This is something that only we do. And that means that we're going to spend up to $1 million. And as long as it takes, whether it's months or even years, which does happen all the time, to get this reversed at no cost to the homeowner.
Which is key.
So our restoration is the most important part.
You know, you can check in your home's title right now. Make sure you're not a victim already. Use the promo code Gruber at HomeTitleLock.com. HomeTitleLock.com. Make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, like she said, up to $1 million to fix it. Natalie, greatly appreciate you being here. What a story. What a story.
Thanks, Steve. We're so glad that you're covering these things.
All right. We'll talk again soon. Again, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code Gruber, and you'll be able to protect yourself. You'll sleep well tonight knowing it's still your home or business or even a church. I'll be right back.